Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about some new leaks for Kenobi, Cad Bane and more. As always my dear Megalorians, before we dive into the news, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post new videos. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we're going to begin with some new costume leaks that have emerged for an upcoming Star Wars project. Full credit goes to Rebel Force Radio, who have a source that sent it to them. Now the big debate is whether these leaks are for the Andor series or for Obi-Wan Kenobi. A while back it was reported that Lucasfilm are deliberately diverting Obi-Wan and Andor leaks as one another, and this is to confuse leakers. Now on the subject of these costumes, Rebel Force Radio had an intriguing debate on which show this is for, and one of the hosts stated that they were told it was for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Based on what we know about Lucasfilm deliberately mixing the two shows, we can't really know for certain, but here's my take. When examining the costumes, especially the second and third ones, they seem right at home in the Kenobi series. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that these costumes are indeed for Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you guys think back to the recent leaks of Ewan McGregor concealing his costume, the collar, trousers and boots are very similar to these ones that we see in the photo. Also, since Obi-Wan Kenobi is set on Tatooine, a lot of these outfits seem to match what you'd expect residents of the planet to wear. Something else I want to mention is the final photo, which has the name Dr. Quadpaw beneath it. According to the source, this is an alias that Obi-Wan goes by in the series. Evidently 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, he's going to want to hide his identity, so it's not surprising he's going to go by an alias. Again though guys, do take all of this with a grain of salt because it could be for Andor, but in my opinion everything about these costumes really shouts Obi-Wan. But let me know your thoughts of this in the comments down below. Do you agree this is for the Kenobi series, or do you think it's for Andor? So now my dear Megalorians, we're going to move on and talk about Cad Bane, who is back. He's really been the centre of attention ever since episode 8 of The Bad Batch dropped, and the big question is, are we going to see him face off against Boba Fett? I spoke about this in my full episode breakdown. There is an unfinished arc of the Clone Wars where Boba Fett kills Cad Bane. That was never included in the Clone Wars, but it could be in The Bad Batch. So we're going to explore this question more, and we're also going to answer the question, could Cad Bane appear in the Book of Boba Fett? Let's see what this article has to say on the matter. Good ideas can be hard to come by, so they rarely get discarded, even when the project they're intended for moves on. Star Wars The Bad Batch has never shied away from making use of good ideas that haven't been explored lately, and as the informal successor to the Clone Wars, it's found new ways to incorporate older ideas that still have potential. In the latest example, Season 1 Episode 8 Reunion includes the return of Cad Bane. The final season of the Clone Wars contained a number of planned arcs, not all of which panned out. The show's initial cancellation left a lot of narrative loose ends in its wake, and while The Bad Batch ultimately went on to their own series, another arc was not so lucky. At Star Wars Celebration Orlando in 2017, Dave Filoni revealed a planned storyline in which Cad Bane taught Boba Fett how to be a bounty hunter. Most fans never saw it never went beyond the mock-up stage, but the brief scene of a blaster fight between the two characters received huge applause, and the concept was just too strong for the Bad Batch to ignore. The unused Clone Wars sequence depicts a showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett for control of the Crate's Claw. In it, Bosk and the other team members stand down and let the pair confront each other directly. Both blasters strike home, knocking both men off their feet. The clip ends with a shot of Fett's helmet, now with its signature dent, as seen in the original trilogy. It's very clear that the Bad Batch borrows heavily from this scene during the climax of Reunion, when Hunter faces Cad Bane in a very similar duel. It's clear in comparison that the scene drew from the unused Clone Wars sequence, starting with the combatants themselves. Hunter is a clone just like Boba Fett, and as Cad Bane explains before the showdown, he's killed enough clones to know how to do it properly. As with Boba, Hunter's armor saves him from a killing shot, allowing him to pursue the bounty hunter, who has now abducted Omega. So the question is, are we going to see the unfinished Clone Wars arc between Cad Bane and Boba? It seems as though this series is really hinting at a cameo from Boba Fett. The appearance of Fennec Shand means that the Bad Batch might act as a prequel to their friendship as we see in The Mandalorian, but also the prototype for Boba's helmet was seen in Sid's office in episode 4. So it really feels as though they are setting up a Boba Fett appearance really soon, and it could be a prelude to get fans excited for his own series, The Book of Boba Fett, at the end of this year. And to this extent, a bigger question that Cad Bane's return invokes is whether or not we're going to see him in the Book of Boba. While it would be really awesome to see him make a live-action cameo, it all depends on whether or not he survives the Bad Batch, which I suspect he won't. Knowing Dave Filoni, he'll likely want to finish the Clone Wars arc where Boba kills him, then bringing him into the Book of Boba. Besides, Boba Fett is going to have his hands full in the series, and there are plenty of adversaries that the show could explore. So finally, my dear friends, we're going to stay on the subject of the Bad Batch and talk about the big parallels between the show and The Mandalorian. Ever since the Bad Batch's first episode, Star Wars fans have drawn comparisons between Hunter and Omega and Din Djarin and Grogu. The similarities are very easy to see. Both Hunter and Din Djarin are both initially unwilling participants of their Charge's upbringings. Mando would not refer to Grogu as anything but the asset for a very brief period of time, but after a short time, both men become the father figures that both Grogu and Omega need in their lives, and the affection is definitely returned by both. By the season 2 finale, Din Djarin sees Grogu as his own son, and even removes his Beskar helmet so that the 50-year-old infant can touch his face for the first time. Hunter, in the 8 episodes of the Bad Batch we've seen so far, has followed a similar trajectory with Omega. The enhanced clone has gone from a reluctant caregiver to a beloved father, going to great lengths to protect the seemingly Force-sensitive girl. As a matter of fact, in the most recent episode Reunion, Dave Filoni and his team just perfectly foreshadowed Grogu and the Mandalorian's relationship decades prior. The famous bounty hunter Cad Bane is back, and he's been sent by the Kaminoans to return Omega to Kamino intact. Now this of course proves that she has a serious value to the Kaminoans, just as Grogu did to Moff Gideon and Dr. Pershing. Just like Grogu was kidnapped under Din Djarin's nose, Omega is captured by Bane while an unsuspecting Hunter is suffering from a blaster shot. Interestingly enough, Bane has just succeeded where another bounty hunter, Fennec Shand, failed. This begs the question, could Fennec Shand have a sort of redemption arc in this series and help the Bad Batch save Omega just like she does with Grogu 30 years later? The parallels are uncanny, and some Star Wars fans are not happy with this, but the majority, myself included, are very happy with the way the series has turned out. And as I've been saying, guys, I can't wait for episode 9, but what do you guys think? Do you think there are big parallels between The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch, and are you enjoying the show so far? Let me know your thoughts of this and all of today's news in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and I will see you all in the next one. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.